Hi guys, and welcome to a Mike's Positive Technical World video. Today we're not really going to be doing a review. This is more of a response to viewers' comments videos. I've had a couple of people, namely Roland Ryman, asking, and also Stephen Rout asking for a water container video. So I assume you guys are looking at basically, does it perform exactly the same drawing using one of these connected and one of these? And everyone, just about under the sun, has asked, is the new worx wg633, that's the 56 bar version, any better than the old version, the wg630? Both in theory are brushless, both in theory were at the time top of the line models. And yeah, they're also asking, is it more powerful? Yes, because it's statistically more powerful, but does it actually like prove? Does it draw more power? What's the run times? And lots of other stuff. So hopefully I'm going to look at some of the differences and answer all of these questions that people are clearly very like, wanting to know, I suppose. So first things first, I'm going to go through the quite obvious differences. It looks completely different. The new one is a lot smaller. The battery placement's completely different. The new battery placement is in here, which is inside this little cubby hole, and it's a Ipx5 rated model, whereby basically that could spray that, this would be fine, that could spray that, this would die, theory. I don't think this has actually got an official IPX rating on it at all, whereas this one has officially got an IPX rating there. It says Ipx5. I'll bring that around to the camera so you guys can see it on the label. It clearly says there Ipx5 rated, and clearly you can see here the maximum pressure rating is 38 and 56 bar respectively, and the rated flow is 200 litres with maximum flow of 220 litres. This I don't think has such an in-depth label. Well, it kind of does. So the old one, which is wg630, it's a max pressure of 2.2 millipascals, which is equivalent to 22 bar, with a max pressure of 25 bar, and the maximum inlet water pressure is 6 bar. This one's manufactured in 2020, as you can see there, and this one should be manufactured in 2022. There you go, you can see quite clearly there. So yeah, those are the statistical differences. The old one had a trigger, which has got a button which you sort of like have on your finger here, and fairly likewise you've got the same setup here. That I do find that the new one, the trigger's a little bit less heavy. It's a bit subjective. But the trigger on this, I feel a bit more on these two fingers. I have to pull a little bit more. So I don't even know, the pivot point is slightly longer, therefore it exerts more pressure there, maybe. Whereas here, you can see the trigger's just a little bit more refined than being pivoted there. It's a nice little change. Obviously on the old one, the wg630, the battery directly slotted in here. It slots in there. The inlet for the hose on the old one is here and requires a rather cumbersome 17mm spanner to undo the inlet valve to access the filter, which is then in there, which you then have to kind of get like sort of a spodger of some description in to then try and get the filter out, which is just a massive pain, if I'm honest. I can't even get it out. Good old videos, eh? Who would do them? Me, I'd do them. There you go. Eventually it pops out. Where has it gone? There it is. Let's put it in the wrong way around maybe. But either way, that's the gauze filter. It's like a coffee strainer. A bit of focusing on that. There you go. And it's fairly good. It's very functional. But like I said, the fact that you need an extra tool to get it undone, 17mm spanner, And of course, doing something up with a 17mm spanner when it's plastic has its own dangers of potentially tightening and potentially breaking it. The new one, you'll be glad to know, doesn't require a spanner at all, and just has this very simple insert. There you go. That took about 2 seconds. You'll also notice the lance is very different. The actual lance itself has now got this like 6-rib design. The old one had like a 3-rib design. The new one has got more strengthening along here, whereas this one has actually got more shallow strengthening. I can show you this visually using a micrometer, in case you're wondering. So this has got an exact depth of we're looking at that, just about let me just examine it. You're looking about 2.35 millimeters is the reading on that one. And then when you come over to this one, your measurement is 2.7 mil. So it's got an extra 0.3 mil there. What does that really mean? So it means that this is quite flexible and it would flex when using it, whereas this one is a little bit more rigid and takes a little bit more effort to flex, and side to side flex is virtually nil, whereas this side to side flex is a lot greater. The nozzle on the end, connector wise, exactly the same. These are actually interchangeable between the two, so there is no physical difference between the two. And actually the new one will accept the old one, and vice versa as well. There is no real difference between them as far as performance goes, or any noticeable difference at all. The internal diameters between the two, this is the old one here and the new one on the left. So new, old. The old one was, as mirrors makes no difference, 5 millimeters, and the new one is near as makes no difference, 5 millimeters. Actually, if anything, it is microscopically, I mean, you're talking 0.2 of a mil, which I'll probably say is manufacturing tolerances, smaller, but I don't think that actually has a real difference. The nozzles at the end, difference wise, are virtually the same, side to side. And to end, you'll notice that the old one has got brass inserts here and that the new one has got silver inserts there. Though they are the same pattern, they have no noticeable difference, except the size is microscopically. Again, I had to use my very, very intricate engineer's drill bits to find the difference, and it's about 0.05 millimeter difference, with the old one being 0.05 millimeters larger than the new one. That again could be manufacturing tolerances. 0.05 mil it's an engineering term. It's not a real measurable size. You're not even talking human hair thickness, I think, there. The numbers and diagrams on the side have changed relatively little. 1 degree. 15 degrees has got a wider spray symbol, as has 25 degrees and 40 degrees. One of them's truly 40 degrees, one of them's truly not 45 degrees, clearly. I don't think that's 40 degrees, I think that's more likely to be representative of actual 40 degrees. The fact that it's got written 40 degrees there, probably coming some kind of, you can't say that it's 40 degrees and show a picture of 30 degrees, or something similar like that. I don't think it's, 0 is still 0, it's a bit more bolder. Type font's still exactly the same, which is Impact, for those who want to know. And yeah, that's really negligible differences. So that's that. Size wise, again, let's put these to one side because now I've made it smaller. I'm going to keep it that way just for a moment. The new one is extremely compact. The old one is a Goliath compared to it. You're looking at least a good 60-70 mil longer. It's about the same height. This one doesn't stand up on its own because of the awkward design, obviously on the side shot, whereas obviously that, it's beautiful, stands upright. Looking down the end, there's very little differences in the end. None noticeable at all, especially if you bring them up side by side. You notice this has got a slightly deeper throat, so this could indicate that it could actually have even been potentially made smaller, subjectively. I think actually it makes no difference. I think it's actually more down to lighting. It does actually look still, I'm quite convinced that it's slightly deeper. It can't be because the connectors are the same distance, so therefore it can't be. But subjectively it looks it. I'm always say subjective because, well, subjectively it does look different. So yeah, that's it. As far as differences go, obviously this is part of the worx Nitro range. This was never branded as worx Nitro range. Nitro range basically impromptu implies that it's as good as a petrol product, or near to a gas-like performance, or nitro performance as they call it. That would also imply that because it's the Nitro range, this is currently top of the line model. This is 92 decibels, that's 91 decibels. This features a brushless 2.0 motor, or brushless motor 2.0. This is actually appears, again subjective, to be a smaller motor, maybe it's a bit more efficient and a lot more powerful, but you can see the width there, the width between the bodies at the back. If I can get these to stand upright, which of course I can't because this one doesn't stand upright. It does if you lean it against the one that can stand upright. Across the bodies here is just as near as makes no difference, 44mm, whereas this one, across the plastic casing anyway, is 53. Let me just have a look because I cannot, my eyes are dim, I cannot see. Yeah, it's 53mm across the body on the old wg630. Both of them feature eco mode, and both of them are equally as unfrugal, let's be honest, in eco mode. However, I believe the battery performance is a lot better in eco mode than actual water consumption. I think the water consumption difference on the wg630 off the top of my head was 180 litres per hour over the 200 litres for the standard. I can't remember, so I haven't actually remembered what the wg633 is, but I'm sure it's equally small. Yeah, other than that, we're now going to take these. Oh, hang on, there is more, sorry. Oh, this is already 12 minutes in. This is going to be a long video, guys, I do apologise. I'll try and make it as short as possible with various little tricks. The clunks on the end of the hoses, both of these I think are 8 metres long. They might be slightly longer, but I'm pretty sure they're 8 metres. Each clunk is different, so this clunk here features this 3-stage filtering system. So stage 1 is the outer sheath, if you like, that stops any like stones or anything getting through. Then the inner, you can see, has worked very effectively here when I have used it before in the past, has stopped any larger contaminants getting through. And then you have an inside tertiary sort of seal there. That sits inside a cup there. It's quite large. The exact diameter of the outside was a little bit of a bad choice, I think, for them, because it is 42mm, 43mm, sorry, and 43mm is the exact same outside diameter as most standard jugs that you have, you know, the standard like jerry cans, etc. So yeah, very, very bad play for them on that. And I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that you had to strip this down and remove it. Here again, using this very unique style connector that you couldn't get spares for unless you bought it directly from worx. And then you pull that off. I'm not going to pull that off because it's still, well, it's springtime, it's not yet summer. And oh my dear God, that's so much fun trying to push that back on and do that back up. I just don't want to experience the fun, that's all. Honest. So the new wg633 still retains a external stone catcher, if you like, but on a lot more compact scale. You've now only got 2 filters, One is this micro screen filter. I can only call it a micro screen filter because, well, it's so small I can't call it anything else. And that's it. Plus obviously the filter which is on the inside of the hose. That just sits in there. And then that sits on there. Kind of a bit more crude, but a lot more functional, I think. You've just got a simple Jubilee clip to hold it in place. Sometimes simpler is a lot better. I really do think. But yeah, it's still got the same instructions about the filter. Clean it under the tap regularly. They still said rinse the filter regularly as well under there. But obviously you've got the description to the inner filter and the outer filters on there as well. Other than that, the other end still looks exactly the same. You still got the same style hose lock clips. Oh, actually, that's a lie. They are slightly different. Never noticed that. You've got a more ergonomic pullback system, whereas this obviously features a more standard looking system. An evolution in the terms, if you will. Both of them annoyingly feature that very horrible rotational clip. Why on earth they didn't stick a Jubilee clip system on there just to make it a lot easier to potentially change the hose. There we go. Yeah, that is completely it. I have run out of things to say difference-wise about these two. They are also, obviously, they all feature the same ability to put the other connectors on the end. So if you do have the various accessories, the brush, the rotating brush, the rotating scrubby brush, they all still fit without any detriment to the performance. And of course also the snow foam adapter, they all still fit. You also, for what it's worth, both of them, I have no idea which one's which, because let's be honest, I assume that this one's the old one. Yeah, this one is the old one because it's covered in sawdust. They're exactly the same. Those are the bottle connectors. So the bottle connectors just go into a 2 litre or 3 litre pop bottle. I think I've got one lurking around, if you bear with me 2 seconds. Yep. This is from my original video that I done on the wg633 about 2 years ago. I done it and I used a 3 litre pop bottle, and that just goes in there, screws on the lid, and then for what it is worth, there's 3 litres of water from a very popular fizzy drink manufacturer with a adapter on it, and then you just simply attach this to the bottom, and then you have a hydro shot with a very non-infinite water supply, but it is very functional. For the smaller ones which use less water, it's extremely functional, and it does actually work. This, it lasts, because it uses so much water, the wg633, it lasts something like 30 seconds, I think is what I calculated it as. So 220 litres of water that it takes up an hour, and like I said, 3 litres of water will last about 45 seconds. It does about 15 seconds it takes to do a litre of water. That's a lot, either way you look at it. So yeah, that's that. We're now going to go outside and we're going to try both of these with a... no, we're not yet. We've still got more to do. Come on, Mike, stay with the programme. We're going to have a look and see what the performance is with no water load. So this is quite pointless, but it should give us a bit of a baseline figure of how good, bad or ugly these both are. Using my amp meter, this is an inline watt meter theoretically. It shows the voltage of the battery there, which is currently 20.5 volts, and it will give me an amp figure whilst I'm using it, and a peak amp as well, which is an important number. And The old wg630, it should obviously see a lower figure than the new one. Assuming that it's more powerful, it will draw more power, therefore that indicates it has more power. And it's about 4 amp, which in theory means that if you were just drawing air constantly, you would have approximately 1 hour of runtime, and that is a fairly good statute figure to have. And then if we attach this to the new one, obviously the door's not going to shut because of the lead, but I also need to disconnect this so that the peak amp, on the last one, even though it's connected to this one, it will still have the same readings, was actually 7.3 amps. That was when it initially started up, and the battery dipped down to 12.6 amps. That's quite a lot as an initial current draw, but then it shows the amount of power that it truly has. So I'm now going to disconnect this. That'll reset my figures. Could just unplugged it, I suppose. And yeah, it's now down to 20.47 volts, which will give it a slight unfair disadvantage. But when I do the test, I'm going to use a matching pair of batteries, which I'll go through in a second. This one. Interesting. Well, from my point of view, it's interesting. Obviously, this has had minimal use compared to that one, whereby that one, the wg630, has had a lot of use. It is now a year and a half, 2 years old, I think it is. It's quite old, bless it, but yeah, it's had quite a lot of use and abuse. This drew a peak of, it only went down to 19.8 volts, and drew a peak of 6.68 amps peak. But when it was running, you'll notice it's about 1/4 amp less. Turn these off because these really do bleach out the lights. So my studio lights, so you now see real time. Yeah, so we're seeing really running up to 5 amps there. So that is actually more. And more means that it's more powerful. There's no other way of looking at it, really. It's also slightly more louder as well. But, so the test, basically, I'm going to go outside. I've got a water butt, and I'm going to fill the water butt with the one that should fill up the most first, which will be the... well, actually, I won't. I'll do it the other way around. Go on. Let's do the wg630 first. I've got 2... exact same batteries. Now this is how exactly the same they are. They're both being on charge in the same dual charger, the same dual ports. The indicative serial numbers of these are J1B16JAK1TA, or Jaquita batteries as I like to call them. And this one is Z1B or 816JAK1TA. If you look at the serial numbers for both of these, you'll find that one says 20221029153008. This one on the right says 2022, which is 2022, 01029153005. So these are 3 numbers away from... They're probably basically made out of the same batch of cells on the same production line, and are 3 batteries apart from being off of the same batch. All right, so that's how equal these 2 batteries are. I can't get it much more equal than that without breaking into my 80 volt pack, and I want to keep all those 80 volt batteries exactly the same and used in the same conditions, and have their own little swap around cycle, okay? Because I'm very anal about my batteries, but I do apologise about that. So these are the 2 batteries which I'm going to be using. This one, and they're both, for purposes of the video and fairness and equality, of which I strive to make sure that obviously I achieve. Now, which one have I just taken off? Oh, it was that one. I know that because it's got slightly different amount of dust on it, and also it's a Jaquita battery, not a Jaquita. But this one reads 20.82 volts. Let's go in there. And this one probably reads slightly more or less. Yeah, it's 20.6 volts. And it's going in there. So actually, I tell you what, because some people might turn around and go, oh, you're giving the better battery to the newer model, the one with the slightly higher voltage. There we have it. I'm putting the higher voltage one. Just double prove it. It's one which read 20.8, which is that one. I'm putting that in the old wg630. Putting it in there just because I don't want a comment section filled with, oh, you gave the higher power one to the battery, which won the newer one, therefore I gave an unfair advantage. Honest to God, 0.2 volt will really not, it won't maintain after about the first 3 seconds of usage, and it also won't make an iota of difference. But for the purpose of the video and purpose of YouTube world, we'll try and keep it all fair and all same, right? This is the one for the wg633. This is the one for the wg630. This is the lance of the wg630. This is the lance of the wg633. And this is the head from the wg630. And this is the head from the wg633. Okay. I can't make it any more fair than that. I've tried my due diligence, I've tried my best, and this should hopefully answer everyone's questions. I'm also going to be using a timer. I won't bore you to death because otherwise this ends up being an 1.5 hour long video, potentially actually even nearly 3 hours long. I'm going to do it. I'm going to film the start of it. I'm then going to hold the trigger and put up with all the noise, and basically I'm going to decant from my water butt here that's takes all of the rainwater off my roof so I don't waste any water. I don't get complaints about that. And then I'm going to fill a small bucket below, and then the small bucket is then going to fill the water butt. All right, it's a simple use of water. I'll show you all when you're outside. And yeah, let's get on with the experiments. I'll try not to make this any longer than it already is. The time will be running. It's got a fully charged battery in it. It's got an 1100 milliwatt hour rechargeable 1.5 volt battery. It doesn't give it any advantage. It's made by Hixon, and it's a 1.5 volt rechargeable battery. If you haven't seen these, they're really cool. It means you get all the voltage of 1.5 volt alkaline battery in a lithium powered rechargeable cell. They're very cool and very, very good for YouTube videos like this. Switch on the side when I start. I have actually compared this for an entire hour, and it is accurate to within 0.1 of a second. As in, when I stopped them both, that had clocked over to 1 second, and the stopwatch, which I was comparing it against, was a 0.1 seconds ahead of this. Again, I really can't make it any more fair than this. I don't expect it to last more than an hour, so we'll use this. This does actually go up to 99 minutes. It doesn't actually do 1 hour, it just does how many minutes. It goes up to 99 minutes, okay? These are YouTube standard. They're used in virtually every single person's YouTube videos because they're clear display, you can see it clearly, and it's fair, okay? I don't think I need to go over any other criteria apart from the fact being this is going to be a constant test. I will lock the triggers in place, probably from my own fatigue, and I will use some ear protection because it's probably going to be very loud and noisy for me. Okay, so I'm just going to get my ear protectors there, and I'll be wearing these so I don't get deafened. You are? Joking. Yeah, there you go. I'm about to go outside, rig it all up, and I'll talk you through the two rigs and how they're going to affect. These are basically going to be completely and utterly dead batteries afterwards, and we will go until the individual batteries decide to die and or the computerized mechanisms inside decide when to shut off. I will not be doing a drain it right the way down to it no longer runs. It'll be until the first cut off. I hope these parameters are within your tolerances, YouTube world. I hope this is a fair test as well. I've tried to do everything as fairly as possible, and I will do everything as fairly as possible, but this should give you some true facts and figures. Both of them will be used on full power. Both of them are going to be used on a medium setting as well, I might add, so there's no confiances. So the spray gives it full flow but less amount of torque on the spray. So I'm actually going to set these to a mid setting. Should we go 15 or should we go 25? I think 25 is probably the more usable force that most people will use, so I'm going to use 15 degrees. It gives it a small amount of fan whilst maintaining pressure, and it's the one that I most constantly use when doing my own car or anything else, to be honest. 1 degrees is far too precise and far too slow going. 15 degrees is far too it's just nice in between. All right, and yeah, the 40 degrees nice as a brush for light debris, but 25 I find on the new wg633 is usable at least, but on the old wg630 really isn't. Okay guys, let's go outside. Okay guys, here we are in the outside ether world. So what I've got here is my worx wg630. I don't want to start the timer. Let's just turn that off for a second, shall we? Right, we've got the worx wg630. I'm going to cable tie the trigger in place. Then I'm going to connect the battery up. This will ensure that the test is fair. I'm going to put it over here, squirt it into the hose. I will quickly show you how it performs on the 15 degree setting and what it looks like. It will need to prime itself. If it does get any airlocks, I'll potentially show you how to do that. I can't currently see the screen, so I'm hoping that, there we go, if I aim it somewhere around here, and then hopefully you'll be able to see the idea of the experiment. Okay, yeah, let's try and do all this together simultaneously and see whether or not I can do this. So it's probably going to end up with a little bit wet all over the place, but let's go for it. And 3, 2, 1. Ah, it's intelligent. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? There you go. Didn't know you had that safety feature. Oh well, that's about half a second off. Right, in 3, 2, 1. Nope, I am going to have to sit there and hold it. I'll see you guys in 10 minutes, 15, 45, whenever. Okay guys, I'm approaching the 10-minute mark. I'm going to swap over buckets now, due to the fact being this one is now full. I'm going to swap over to this one. I'm also going to check the clunk in the tank behind me as well. Cool, I'll keep my bucket smoky, don't I? Putting enough set cement, it's not exactly an easy task either. Impressive. Anyway, let's go have a look at this clunk. Well, to say Lex, I'm going to have to go and have a look at the clunk. and it's not even in sight yet. It's fine. If it's fine, it's good, and if it's good, we don't need to worry about it. That's a good thing, I think. So yeah, I'm going to pause it now, and will join me in another 9 minutes or so. Okay guys, I'm just going to give you an update. At 30 minutes 50, we're down to 1 bar of juice left in the battery. Would like to point out I didn't actually take a reading at the 10-minute mark, but we are 14 minutes. We might be in the dying phases here. Will it reach 50 litres? I don't know. 50 litres would be about on par at 15 minutes. I'm not too sure what size these buckets are. I'm assuming they're 15 litres. Sorry, 25 litres. We'll see. I'll have to do some research on how big my buckets are, dear Lila. 15 minutes and it's still going strong. At 17 minutes it's still hanging in there somehow. There's no variable pitch at the moment on the motor, so I'm assuming it's still going quite well, about 18 volts. Join us back again at minute number 19. It's nearly done, somewhere in the region around about, I reckon these might actually be bigger than 25 litres now. I reckon they might even potentially be 35 or 40 litres, but it's done some of the region, it's done a lot. But yeah, join us back again when it fails. I don't know what I'm about to do with the buckets, by the way. That'll be a mystery to be resolved as of yet. Might dip into the other bucket again. Yeah, I've just had to switch buckets back to the other one. 19 minutes and 20 seconds. Oh dear. I could stop along somewhere along the way, so I've now validated all my results. Joy. Still, we know it's about 20 minutes in. And I can hear it dying. It's still got 1 bar left. What's going to crack first? Bucket or the hydro shot? Nah, that's seriously dying. I can hear it. I've got ear defenders on and I can hear it going down. That pitch is definitely going down. It's dying. There we go. I thought it was going to. You can hear that pitch slightly go down. And yeah, about 20 minutes you might as well call it. Probably a little bit longer. But now I need to find out exactly how much these buckets hold. And to do that, I'm going to use a bit of jiggery pokery. I'm actually going to go get a watering can, which is a 10-litre watering can, and decant it, find out how much is in each one. And then I can find out how much total water it's done. So that way I can write it all down. Bear with, guys. Okay guys, so this is my watering can. It's actually a 6-litre up to the handle, so I'm just going to take one of these. This one will do fine. And just submerge it. Up to just below the handle and decant it back to where it came, which is in the water bar. 6. Probably a bit generous. 18. 24. 30. And what was, well, you might as well call it 36. So I'll confirm that these are 35 litre containers, meaning the worx wg630 has performed 70 litres in 20 minutes or thereabouts, which makes its 200 litre per hour claim pretty darn accurate. I'd say anyway. Can't really give it much fairer than that. I try and be fair and honest in my videos, and I think you'll all agree. Yeah, that's 35 litres. So yeah, there we go. I'm just going to off camera for you, benefit you guys and your patience and everything. Decant that bucket, make sure both buckets are dry, and then we're going to go back again with a wg633 and do it all over again. So much fun. Right guys, now is the turn for the worx wg633. It's the new hydro shot. It's going to get locked in the same position. So I'm just going to pre-tension this, and then when it starts, it will start. 3, 2, 1, let's go. It certainly feels subjectively a bit more powerful. Let's let it go and see how quickly it can do it, or how long it lasts as well. Just crossed the 2.5 minute line and it's about quarter full, so at the moment it looks to be subjectively about on par with the wg630. Just past the 5 minute mark and we're about halfway full, probably just slightly over halfway. Then again, it is 20 seconds past what I'd expect. Okay guys, just coming up to where else are you? There you are, 7.5 minutes, and yeah, it's just over 3/4 the way there. I think at 10 minutes we're going to be looking at a changeover, but we'll see. Okay guys, at the 12 and 33, it's switching over. battery left. 14 minutes. That is about to die. I seriously, I think at 14 minutes, it's sounding very, very... Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's got a bit longer left in it. A little bit reluctant to stop it. Yeah, this is dying. It's sat on one bar for what does seem like ages now. This is dying. I'm getting ready to stop. This is like one of those clickbait videos. I know, but it's gonna go. Any second now, you keep saying. But trust me, this is in its dying minutes, seconds. Oh, surely it's got to give up. Here it goes. It's like a... There we go. We'll give it 15 minutes and 33 seconds. Look at that. It even flashes a light to tell you this hour. Maybe the other one done that as well. We'll have to review the footage. But yeah, she's out. Courtesy, clearly. Is that maybe telling you you should have used eco mode? Let's make it quite clear. That's near as makes no difference. That's less water than the wg630. But I will say in its defence, the wg633 subjectively seemed a lot more powerful, and when it comes to washing your car, it's also more powerful. But I suppose now I've got some data, some raw data. Let's go do a wrap up, and let's also have a look at the batteries and see how many volts each one's got left and how much it depleted each one. So guys, the worx wg633 versus the worx wg630. What's the conclusion? Well, if you don't mind me saying, there is no real conclusion. The wg633 is more powerful. We knew that already. It's twice as powerful. Therefore, it shifted just about half as much water, but it did it with more power. It didn't obviously claim that it had a higher flow rate by much. It was merely by an extra 20 litres per hour. That wasn't noticeable between the two buckets, and it makes near as no difference. It was half the wg630. That said, that means the wg630 is more economical with its power. But by how much? So this is the battery from the wg630, and it's now quite cool. And it has 17.2 volts left in it, which means that, well, we don't actually know. I could obviously, when I charge it up, I don't have an inline charger that detects how much current's going into it, so I can't even do that. But I would say that these batteries are about as near as makes no difference depleted. According to the front, it has 1 bar. I don't really want to take them down much further to damage them, but the one off the wg633 is right the way down to 17 volts, which means that it went lower because it was one with more power, and it is quite warm to the touch. I'm not going to lie, that would make a very, very nice pocket warmer on a 15-degree day right here in Blighty. But yeah, it did only last like 15 minutes. I do think it was slightly less flow, if I'm honest, than the wg630, but I do think it was a lot more power. That's quite subjective. I have no way of showing you it has more power. If you've got any way, shape or form, or you want to send some links to a post whereby, or a previous video that somebody else has done on how you can show how powerful a pressure washer is, by all means, send me the link. I'll see whether or not it's viable for me to create a similar rig, and I will test these two in a head-to-head combat. I've got no problems doing that at all. I'm sure everyone will want to see that, but yeah, my scope of viewing YouTube is like limited to like 4 channels normally. Sad but true. Yeah, normally I don't scare too far, and I also try not to have other people's views and opinions. I try and make up my own views and opinions on products. Therefore, it makes me a bit more coof and more clean for your viewer discretion, I suppose. But yeah, I don't really know what we've concluded from this, apart from the wg630 can amass 70 litres of water movement, and the wg633 does just over half of that. Yeah, we haven't really proved a lot. Sorry, guys. Let's say if you want to get a cordless pressure washer, does this work just as well as that? Yes. Does it work just as well with a hose? Yes. All the time I was using a water butt. I'm pretty sure I've shown you this, but I'll go back to it. Fix that door one of these days. Here is a water butt. That is what we drew the water from. You can see it's a water butt. It has reflective surface on the front of it. It's the water reflecting, and those are the containers. I couldn't fill that one up as much as I'd liked due to the fact that it had extra pressure under it. I really can't say a lot more than that. So yeah, there you go. Probably a bit of a waste of you guys' time, and mine probably, but we come to a conclusion. We don't have any further conclusion than what we had before. There you go. I don't really have a lot more to say about that. If you have any comments about this, you want me to do something else, something different, let me know. That's what the comment section is there for. Yeah, there you go, guys. Stay safe. See you in the next video.